the third Saturday in October. It's General Neyland. It's Bear Bryant. It's Gene Stallings. It's Phil Fulmer. It's Peyton Manning. It's David Palmer. It's a great rivalry. It's 100-plus years old, and it don't get no better than this, folks. The number 7 Alabama Crimson Tide are going to Neyland Stadium to play the number 11 Tennessee Vols this Saturday at 3:30, and it's really a coin flip game right now, in my opinion, on who's going to win this game. It's going to probably come down to the last possession. 1 or 2 plays will determine who wins this game. So, strength of schedule, Alabama is 6 games being played. Both these teams have played 6 games. Both are 5-1. Alabama's played the 2nd hardest schedule in the country. Tennessee's played the 11th hardest schedule in the country. Alabama barely beat South Carolina 27-25. Tennessee barely beat Florida 23-17 in overtime. In this game, Alabama is favored by 2.5 points. So Vegas thinks this is basically a coin flip game too. Bama's barely favored. So let's talk about the players in this game who are going to make a big impact and who you need to be watching for, in my humble opinion. First name, let's talk about Alabama's first player here, Jalen Milroe. He's getting better every game. Now, I will tell you, he didn't play good last week against South Carolina. He had 2 interceptions, but he's almost got 1,500 total passing yards this season. He's got over 300 yards rushing. He's a guy that scares you to death on the big play. I mean, he's great at throwing deep passes, but the thing that scares me about Jalen Milroe the most is when a play breaks down, there's nothing there, everybody's covered. He breaks containment, and he makes a big gain. So you got to know where he's at all times. For Tennessee, Dylan Sampson, he's got almost 700 yards rushing, 15 TDs, and both rushing and TDs. He leads the SEC. He's just having a phenomenal year. For Alabama, Ryan Williams, he's got 576 receiving yards this year with 6 TDs. He's just a true freshman at 17 years old. Phenomenal player. James Pierce for Tennessee, 19 tackles, 2 sacks. This guy got off to a slow start because of limited snaps and blowouts, but he's playing. He's making more of an impact now, and he is somebody that needs to have a big game this week against Alabama. For Alabama, Jeremy Bernard, he is the transfer from Washington that followed Kalen DeBoer to Alabama. He's a really good receiver. He's a dependable guy. We got to make sure that we keep him in check as well. He's definitely not the threat that Ryan Williams is, but he's still a good receiver. For Tennessee, Arian Carter, he's got 27 tackles and 1 interception this season. Arian Carter is going to have more of a prominent role this week with Keenan Peely being gone for the year. He needs to really step up and make sure he has a good game. I think one of the big roles he's going to have this week is keeping containment on Jalen Milroe, and he has to do a good job. So the first thing I'm going to talk about here is the Alabama offense versus the Tennessee defense. And when I get done kind of talking about all of this, I want to tell you who I think has the edge in this matchup. So first things first, total offense for Alabama is 35th. They are averaging 442 yards per game. Tennessee's total defense is 2nd, only giving up 250 yards per game. Very stingy defense this year for Tennessee. Alabama scoring offense, 10th. They're averaging roughly 42 points per game. They've got big play capability with the receivers and Milroe. They can score fast. Tennessee scoring defense is 4th. They're only allowing 11 points per game. They've not had a bad game yet, in my opinion. This defense hadn't. They're not good. They're elite. This defense is. Rush offense for Alabama is 51st, 179 yards per game. Now, I will tell you, I think this is a little bit disappointing for this Alabama team with the offensive line returning and the 2 running backs and Justice Haynes and Jam Miller. I would expect this group to rush over 200 yards, and they've not done that, especially with Milroe in the backfield as well. It's a little surprising, but I mean, 51st is not awful, but it should be better. It should be a top 20, top 25 rushing offense. Rush defense for Tennessee is 5th, only allowing 80 yards per game. It's a little worse in SEC action, giving up 140 to Arkansas, 130 to Florida, but that's still not bad. Passing offense for Alabama is 38th, 263 yards per game. Milroe, they got 3 really good receivers. Proctor, I forgot to mention him too. So got some really good receivers for Alabama that can really stretch your defense and cause issues. Tennessee's pass defense, 19th. They're only allowing 170 yards per game. And this is the group that surprised me. This was a group that was below 50th in the country in pass offense last year, really struggled to do anything or contain anybody. Everybody threw on them really at will. This year it's much better. They brought in some transfers, and some other guys that were buried on the depth chart have stepped up and played good. And so the edge with the Alabama offense versus the Tennessee defense, I think it's the Tennessee defense that has the edge. Now, this Alabama offense is really good. No disrespect to them, but this Tennessee defense is elite, so I give Tennessee's defense the edge. Now let's talk about the Alabama defense versus the Tennessee offense. Now, it'll be interesting to see who wins this matchup. Total defense for Alabama is 55th. They're allowing 343 yards per game. They're not having a great year. They've kind of struggled the last two games against a South Carolina offense. It's not that good. They sustained drives on this defense. And then also against Vanderbilt, they gave up 42 points to Vanderbilt. So this is not an Alabama defense of old. It's not living up to the past expectations. Now, this Tennessee offense is not any better. Now, they're 9th in total offense, but that's misleading because a lot of those stats are against Kent State, UT Chattanooga, NC State. In SEC action, they're barely averaging 20 points a game as far as scoring, and yards per game is way down from the 485. So they got a lot of room to improve this Tennessee offense, and they're going to have to this week. Scoring defense for Alabama, 42nd. They're allowing 21 points per game. Tennessee scoring offense is 9th too. Just total offense was 9th. Scoring offense is 9th, 42 points per game. But like I said, SEC action, it's way south of that. Really struggled against Arkansas. They struggled against Oklahoma, and they struggled big time against Florida, especially in the second half. The past two games, Tennessee has been shut out in the first half. Can't have that happen against Alabama. If they're shut out in the first half, this week, game's over. Alabama will be up too many points, and the game's over. Rush defense for Alabama is 54th. They're allowing 129 yards per game. Rush offense for Tennessee is 7th, averaging 246 yards per game. Rush offense for Tennessee has been definitely the steady point on this team. A very good rushing attack, led by Dylan Sampson, Deshaun Bishop. Pass defense for Alabama is 62nd. They're allowing 213 yards a game. I'm really surprised with Malachi Moore and that bunch back there in the secondary that they've not done better. Pass offense for Tennessee, it's starting to really slip. It's starting to really go back. Nico Iamaleava has not passed for over 200 yards yet in SEC action, so they're 61st right now. They're only averaging 238 yards per game, but in SEC play, it's worse. All right. I would give Alabama the slight edge in that aspect. Alabama's defense is not great, but guess what? Nobody's playing worse offensively than Tennessee is right now, so I'll give Alabama's defense an edge over our offense. So we're kind of tied up. Now, turnover margin, Alabama's 32nd. They're +3 in turnover margin, pretty good. Tennessee is 50th at +2. That is going to hold a huge role in who wins this game, who wins the turnover margin. The team that turns the ball over and is negative in this game in the turnover margin will probably lose this game. Now, let's get to the pick of this game. I went back and forth on this game. And I really don't try to pick with my heart. I really try to pick with my head. A day or two ago, I was with Alabama. I kind of thought I'd give Jalen Milroe the edge in the quarterback, and I probably still would give him the edge compared to Nico Iamaleava. But, Milroe didn't play good against South Carolina. Guess what? Tennessee's defense is better than South Carolina's defense is. Nico's played awful the last 3 or 4 games. But I really feel like Heupel is going to design a game plan to simplify things for him and make his life easier and let him roll out in the pocket, more design runs. And I think Heupel will make corrections and do just enough offensively to win this game for Tennessee. I think Tennessee's defense is going to be elite. They're going to really limit Alabama offensively. I think Alabama's still going to get some plays here and there. But I just think the home field for Tennessee will be the difference, and I've got Tennessee winning 24-20 in a very close game, which Alabama could very easily win either. I'm not confident in that pick at all. I just think Tennessee being at home, Alabama will struggle with Tennessee's defense, and I think Tennessee will score just enough points with their offense. I'm really counting on Heupel to come through with a great game plan to manufacture enough points to beat this Alabama team. But anyway, that's my prediction. Tennessee 24, Alabama 20. I'll talk to you guys later.